Hey everybody, Gisele Grenier here. In today's video, I'm going to be creating another mixed media piece on one of my book backgrounds. And this one's kind of an interesting background because it's really dark and I want to bring this into a high key piece. And it's going to take a little bit of finagling with it. So we'll go down to the table. So this is number 11, book of backgrounds number 11. And it's the one with the cheesecloth all over it. And being a high key piece, meaning everything is in a very light, like the lighter values. So I pulled out some pieces here, and I've got this little flower here. This was gifted to me by Cheryl, my friend Cheryl. Got that. I pulled out a little paper flower. I got some of this lace from the dollar store, this beautiful, beautiful lace. So I cut a piece of that about that wide. A paper doily, and then there's this wide trim that I picked up, and then I took it and cut it into strips and tapered the ends of it. Let's see what I can do with that. And I've got this beautiful little metal piece with a butterfly inside, pink tone. Although I would have preferred this to be more gold. I didn't want to use the alcohol inks for this because it took me a bugger to clean off the red alcohol ink off my fingers. I had to use rubbing alcohol. For colors, I'm going to use a Decor Media Fluid Acrylics, Yellow Oxide, and Titanium White. I'm just going to make a creamy color. And I do have some embellishments here, some little stones. These were also gifted to me by Cheryl. Some pearls, although these I think are a little bit big for what I want to do. So I may try one small one, and my clear rhinestones. What else? And then, so I'm going to use a combination, the gesso for sure, the Decor Media gesso for sure. I'm going to use that to see if I can lighten this because I don't want to use paint because it'll just kind of suck in. I don't want to lose all the background. And then the matte medium, and then the heavy gel medium. So, for brushes, just a bunch of, I've got some synthetics, flat, synthetic round, and some bristle brushes, nothing fancy. Okay, because things have to dry, I'm going to paint this first. I'm going to work with this first. Just paint my embellishments. Let's see if I can bring this over a little bit closer. Get over there. And so high key paintings are basically something that's very much in the light, the high tones, like the light tones. And with the one thing you have to be careful of, you still have to consider values. So, what do you do? And to me, it's just using different values themselves. I don't want to make this the same color as this, but I do want to make it a little bit lighter. So by taking the acrylics, and don't forget acrylics dry darker, and I'm going to only use part of this, so I'm just going to test it here. So when putting that down, I want to make sure it's not as dark as this. Sorry, yeah, not as dark as this, but darker than this. So lighter than this and darker than this. And you just wait a few minutes and see. And that's actually not too bad. So I'll just work with this. You don't even have to over blend. That's going to be that might be a little too dark. We'll have to see. I can always go back over with some white. Now, if I was a smart cookie, what I would do, I would have done this in one of my art journals, because as I'm painting this, it's creating a beautiful little pattern here. And these little doilies as well. So now see how it's getting too close? I have to bring in some white. What was I saying? Oh yeah, this I also picked up at the dollar store. I'm going to bring back another layer with the brush once this is dry, because not only does it add color, it actually thickens it up. It makes it a little bit thicker. Let's see, it's a little too close. Little too close. So I'm going to dry this and come back in with just a little bit of white paint. I folded the paper over it, it's making a mess. Don't need to cover everything. But it does need to be completely dry before we glue it to the piece. I like that. I like that. Set that aside, put that brush in water. Okay, what's next? Gluing this together. See if I can use... I ran out of my glue. I have very little of this left. I ran out of my glue that I was using. Actually, if I look at... No, oh yeah. I've got some Weld Bond in the back. I actually should use that. I have to put it into a smaller container though. There. And then, what else do I have to glue? I think that's it. So let's get to painting this guy. Use the gesso. Let me cover this up. I love the liquid glass because you know how sometimes when you're gluing stuff down, it kind of spreads out. This makes it look like a little puddle of water. I really like that. So I'm going to use a dry bristle brush. And this gesso is the gesso that I purposely want to be really dry because I use it for dry brushing. Gesso for priming is a fuller one. But this one here is really dry. Never using water with this. And I'm just going to go brush over. And what I'm trying to achieve is bringing this up to a lighter value without making it completely white. Well, this is probably going to make some loud sounds on the video. I'll try to keep the banging to a minimum. So the book of backgrounds for this, all I did was cut it. I cut it down. And see, this is what I didn't want to happen. There's big hunks of paint in there. I just cut it down, 2.5 by 3.5, and it's, you know, you can do whatever you want with it. What part? I'm going to leave this part exposed. This part's going to be covered, so I'm not going to worry about it. It took me a bit to figure out which side I wanted to work on. That's nice. I like that. Just going to lighten it a little bit more. So ideally, where the edge touches the underneath part, I want this to be lighter than this. There we are. Making sure that I can still see the contrast of all the cheesecloth. Not sure where I'm going to cut it, so I'm going to do this part here too. And you can go all the way over if you want. I know that I want this part exposed. Yeah. But what I'm going to do here, and let's put that aside for, this is still a little bit too dark, so I'm just going to take my brush. See if I can do this without bending it. Keeping it dry because I don't want the gesso to fill in the little holes. There we go. Beauty. Put that in water. I almost put that in my coffee. So I'm going to dry this for a minute. So just figuring out how far I want it to go. That's kind of cute. Okay, right about there. So I don't want it to be smack dab in the middle. I'm going to cut that. And where I'm cutting it, I'm going to overlap it just a speck so I can trim it. So it's more in the left third. Oh, scratchy, scratchy. I'm going to grab a synthetic brush. Now this I can... Ooh, don't think I washed that brush properly. So I'm going to make sure I've got a good amount of matte medium on there. And I'm going to put some matte medium, which side? On here as well. Uh-oh. Where's the... here. And when you're using the Decor matte medium, make sure you wash your hands because it is super sticky. There we go. Put another coat on top. And just a little bit here. No, if it was just for myself, I wouldn't worry about it, but these are being given away. So I want to make sure it doesn't fall apart. Okay. And I'm going to dry that just for a second, just to dry the top. When I say drying the top, it's just so it doesn't get sticky when I handle it. Keeping in mind, when you're doing a lot of layers, all the layers underneath need to be dry before you do anything with it, like giving it away or selling it or whatever. That's why I like to let my mixed media pieces sit overnight before doing something major with it. During assembly, though, I don't worry too much. It all depends on what you're doing. I'm going to use the round brush and I'm going to use the heavy gel medium. I love this stuff. I'm going to put a nice little dollop right in the corner. I'm just going to build that up. So I'm going to put these little pieces here, just overlap them. What's going to happen is that the little flower is going to go here, and all these little lacy pieces are going to be underneath. Then I'll just trim it. And with the gel medium being nice and thick, these little pieces here that I'm putting here will actually stick out. They won't be flat. And I can also turn them, and so it's dimensional. You can put as many or as few as you want. I'm going to balance everything out. And I'll just trim it. It's also going to make the flower, when the flower sits on top, the flower is going to be high. And put some on the bottom. Good hunk of it. See? Sits right on top. It's not flat. Whoopsie. Not flat. And that should be all right. And this piece here, I might as well use the same stuff. So the third, so about or a quarter or a third, I'm thinking right about here. Nice and thick. You can use fabric glue as well, whatever you want. Keeping it nice and simple. And that's going to go right there. Now this one here is going to be interesting because I have no idea if this is going to stick. I've never used pieces this heavy with medium. So if once it dries and if I find that it's just not sticking, I'll come back in with Gorilla Glue or something on an angle like that. Whoops, get in there. My word for the day is going to be oopsie. There we go. Now, that there. And even these here, there's a lot of texture going on. So I don't know if these will stick. That one probably won't because it's still wet. But if it doesn't stick, then I'll just come back in with some glue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks good. So I like to try to find something to experiment with mixed media pieces that I create. And I think this way, the experiment really is, if that's going to hold. Okay, how do these work? Oh my God, these are tiny. Cheryl, what are you doing to me? Ah, Cheryl, these are tiny. Oh, but I like how small they are. These stones here are kind of big. These are really pretty. Looking at these, so you guys know that I meditate and you guys know that I do yoga. So I'm working with doing a Beachbody yoga right now. And so between that and the meditation, and I don't even know if it exists. I didn't even look for it. I just thought about it this morning. Do you know what would be the ultimate service? Yoga for seniors or yoga for people with arthritis. And as I'm doing this, getting these little pieces off of here, this is actually quite therapeutic. Except you're the wrong way. This is really therapeutic. This teaches you patience. Teaches you patience. So it teaches you patience. So I'll be curious exactly how many of you actually are watching this without hitting fast forward. Yeah, this one's not sticking very well. Yeah, I may have to come back with some glue on this. Holy moly. Okay, where am I? Oh, let's put one here. I'm not putting a quote on this one. Yeah, this one's not sticking either. That's a little bit wet. Oops. Cheryl, I'd love to know where you got this one. This is being something for fabric? I don't know. Alrighty, so I'm going to stick with that for now. Look how cute that is. And then just when it's dry, then I'll come in and then just trim the pieces off. So this I'm going to I love that. But I really wish I could have changed the color of the of this metal piece. Silver, I think, would have been better. Or sorry, kind of a goldy, a burnished brash type of thing, I think would have been nicer. But tying it into the piece, because of the stones, using these things here to tie it in. So tying this into the background and then using the pearls. So the pearls kind of tie in the elegance with the flower and the trim, and they're kind of all the same color. So the only thing that kind of sticks out is the pink in the brooch here, and that's the actual focal point. So composition wise, this works. All right, so there you go. So I'm going to let this sit now for probably, well, I would like to say for a day. But you'll have to, when I come back when this is dry, my mouth is rented, you'll hear about the contest details, and then we'll see what it looks like. All trimmed up and ready to go. All right, so I'll see you in a bit. Welcome back, everybody. Okay, I really like this one. It's super simple. I thought I was going to have to let it dry overnight. Didn't. It was dry in just an hour, and that's because the drying rack is very close to the heat vent. So to go onto the table, look how cute that is. Very simple. So this is a high key piece. High key meaning very high, it's primarily white. So on the value scale, you've got white, you've got black. It's way over here. And this is so cute. And again, with what I was saying before, I would have preferred this to be more of a brassy color, because the brassy colors are yellows, and yellow is closer to what I've created here. It works, and what works is because of the rhinestones, that I put the rhinestones throughout the rest of the piece, and it just ties everything together. And because everything else is high key, the focal point is the butterfly because it's pink, and it works. I probably could have went with some alcohol ink, but I didn't want to get into doing all that. To me it's really messy, but this actually works quite nice. I just love the way the layer of the flower. And I want to thank Cheryl again for sending me a whole bunch of pieces to work from. And I also have some other pieces I see from Annie and Kathleen. And there's a whole bunch of pieces that I have here that I'm going to be using A lot of times when you're working with stuff that's gifted to you, you hoard it because you don't want to, because it's so beautiful, you hoard it and you don't want to use it. So Annie sent me some stuff with crazy birds. I love crazy birds. So I'm going to see what I can do with that. I've done my own sketches of my own version of crazy birds. Close my eyes, I could see something envisioning. Alrighty, getting off topic. So you guys know how this works. I'm going to be asking a question, and you post your comments below. In 2 weeks, Joe picks a number. I count down that number, and where we land is the one who wins the artwork. So my question to you is, oh, and to let you know, I also did another version of this shortly after, a low-key version, which is really nice. And low-key, not meaning subtle, but modern, using black. So my question for you is a very simple one, is that have you ever created any high-key artwork? So have you ever created any artwork that I would say 80% of it is all extremely light? Now, when I say extremely light, I don't mean orange or red. I would mean taking white and adding a titch of red or a titch of orange or a titch of yellow. It's really 80% towards the white area of the value scale. Have you ever created any high key artwork? So what I'd like to do is share your comments below. And if you have pictures, I'd like to invite you to join the community if you're not in there already. The link is below to post your pictures there. And because I love high key artwork, there's just a nice elegance about it, and really, really beautiful. Alrighty, so post your comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. That way you won't miss out on any of the videos that are coming up. And give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Alrighty, so I'm going to put this into the prize box, ready for the giveaway, and I will see you in the next video where I film the closing of the sister version to this project. So until I see you then, stay inspired.